Welcome to AminAcademy.com. In world history, let us discuss about the Mauryan Empire Asoka. Asoka was the last major emperor of the Mauryan dynasty in India. His vigorous patronage of Buddhism during his reign also given as further the expansion of that religion throughout India. Following his successful but bloody conquest of the Kalinga country on the east coast, Asoka renounced armed conquest and adopted a policy that he called conquest by dharma. That means by principles of right life. Here, the lion capital of Asoka, a replica of the lion capital of Asoka, which topped an ancient memorial pillar in Sarnath. The original capital, which is in the museum at Sarnath, is the basis of India's state emblem. In order to gain wide publicity for his teachings and his work, Ashoka made them known by means of oral announcements and by engraving on rocks and pillars at suitable sites. The inscriptions that rock edicts and pillar edicts, that is the line capital of the pillar found at Sarnath, which has become India's national emblem, mostly dated in various years of his reign, contain statements regarding his thoughts and action and provide information on his life and act. His utterance rang of frankness and sincerity. According to his own accounts, Asoka conquered the Kalinga country, that modern Odisha state, in the eighth year of his reign. The sufferings that the war inflicted on the defeated people moved him to such remorse that the renounced armed conquest. It was at this time that he came in touch with Buddhism and adopted it. Under its influence and prompted by his own dynamic temperaments, he resolved to live according to and preach the dharma and to serve his subjects and all humanity. Asoka repeatedly declared that he understood dharma to be the energetic practice of the socio-moral virtues of honesty, truthfulness, compassion, mercifulness, benevolence, non-violence, considerate behavior towards all, little sin and many good deeds, non-extravagance, non-accusativeness, and non-injury to animals. He spoke of no particular mode of religion, creed, or worship, nor of any philosophical doctrine. He spoke of Buddhism only to his core religionistics and not to others. Towards all religious sects, he adopted a policy of respect and guaranteed them fully freedom to live according to their own principles. But he also urged them to exert themselves for the increase of their inner worthiness. Moreover, he exhorted them to form vehement adverse criticism of the viewpoint of others. To practice dharma actively, Asoka went out on periodic tours preaching the dharma to the rural people and relieving their sufferings. He ordered his high officials to do the same in addition to attending to their normal duties. He exhorted administrative officers to be constantly aware of the joys and sorrows of the common folk and to be prompt and impartial in dispensing justice. A special class of high officers designated Dharma ministers was appointed to foster Dharma work by the public, relieve suffering wherever found, and look up to the special needs of women, of people inhabiting outlying regions, of neighboring peoples, and of various religious communities. It was ordered that matters considering public welfare were to be reported to him at all times. The only glory he sought, he said, was for having led his people along the path of dharma. No doubts are left in the minds of readers of these inscriptions regarding his earnest zeal for serving his subject. More success was attained in his work, he said, by reasoning with people than by issuing commands. Asoka's inscription and sites. Asoka's inscription, that is rock edicts. James Prinsep, a British antiquary and colonial administrator, was the first person to decipher Asoka's edicts. These Asoka's inscriptions are the first tangible evidence of Buddhism. They were kept in public places and along trade routes so that maximum number of people would read them. More than religious discourses, they talk about the moral duties of the people, how to conduct life. Asoka's desire to be a good and benevolent ruler, and about Asoka's work towards this end. Asoka inscriptions can be classified into three, that is pillar edicts, major rock edicts, and minor rock edicts. Some pillar rock edicts are, there are 7 pillar edicts. Two types of stones are used, spotted white sandstone and from Madura, and buff colored sandstone and quartzite from Amaravati. Some following the table gives the edict number and what it talks about. For example, Pillar Edict 1, Asoka's principles of protecting his people. Pillar 2, Dharma. Pillar 3, avoiding practice of cruelty, sin, harshness, pride, and anger among his subjects. For Pillar 4, responsibilities of Rajukas. Like this, pillar numbers are continuing. Next, Asoka's major rock edicts. Major rock edicts, for example, Rock Edict 1 prohibits animal slaughter and bans festive gathering. Major rock edicts, care of for man and animals, mentions the Pandavas, Satyapuras, and Kerala Putras of South India. Rock 4, generosity to Brahmins about yuktas like this. For example, Rock Edict 7 gives tolerance for all religions. Asoka uses his name only in 4 of these places, namely Maski and this horse. Languages used in Asoka's inscription. In the eastern part of the empire, the Magadhi language in Brahmi script is used. Magadhi is the dialect of Prakrit found in Magadha. Kalinga War. Asoka the Great fought the Kalinga War in 261 BCE, which was one of the largest and deadliest battles in Indian history. The war was fought between the Maurya Empire, led by Asoka, and Kalinga, an independent kingdom on the east coast of India. The war was brutal, with estimates of the number of deaths ranging from 100,000 to 300,000. Asoka was horrified by the violence and bloodshed and decided to never fight another war. He became a Buddhist and ruled with a policy of conquest by dharma, which meant ruling based on the principles of a correct life. Here are some of the rules of Asoka's conquest by dharma. Do not sacrifice living things. Provide medical care to all subjects. Respect elders and teachers. Do not treat prisoners cruelly. Be tolerant of all faiths. Encourage subjects to give charity. Asoka also emphasized compassion towards animals and proper behavior towards relatives. He taught that people would go to heaven if they behaved well. Asoka's most famous pillar was erected in Sarnath, Uttar Pradesh. The pillar's capital was adopted as India's national emblem in 1950. Asoka's Dhamma. Asoka's Dhamma was a code of conduct and ethical system that Emperor Asoka of the Mauryan Empire promoted during his reign in the 3rd century BCE. It was based on the Buddhist Upasaka Dhamma, but was not synonymous with Buddhism. Dhamma was intended to develop a sense of social responsibility and promote values such as non-violence, tolerance, and compassion. Some key aspects of Asoka's Dhamma include non-violence. Asoka's Dhamma emphasized non-violence towards animals and people and discouraged war and conquest. Asoka's Dhamma promoted tolerance among different religious groups and sects. Asoka Dhammas included welfare measures such as education, health facilities, planting trees, and digging wells. Asoka's Dhamma emphasized respect for elders, parents, and others, including slaves and servants. Generosity. Asoka's Dhamma encouraged generosity towards friends, relatives, and Brahmins and Sramanas. Asoka's Dhamma called for humane treatment of prisoners and servants. Asoka replaced the sound of war drums with the sound of peace for Dhamma Gosa to promote conquest through Dhamma instead of war. Asoka's Dhamma is still relevant in modern India, offering principles for addressing issues like religious tolerance, social inequality, and ethical governance. Now we talk about later Mauryas. The later Mauryas, also known as the Maurya kingdom, was a dynasty that ruled over parts of the Indias from 7th century for about 120 years. The later Mauryas controlled the Chittor fort and were the most powerful force in the region before the Gujara Pratyara dynasty. The state religion of the later Mauryas was Hinduism. The Mauryan Empire was divided into two parts after the death of Asoka in 232 BC. The western part ruled by Kunala and the eastern part ruled by Dasaratha and later by Samrati, Salisuka, Devaraman, Satadwan, and finally Bhartadarata. Brihadrata was the last Mauryan ruler and was assassinated by Pushyamitra Sunga in 184 BC. Sunga later established his own dynasty that is called Sunga dynasty. Some other development during the later Mauryas period include the invasion of the Seleucids and Bactrian Greeks from the northwest, the rise of Kalinga as a rival political entity, the patronage of Ajivikas and Jainism by the Mauryans, the revival of the fourfold Varna system which strengthened the social structure, the emergence of mixed castes, the integration of foreigners into Indian society. So far, we discussed about the Mauryan Empire, Asoka, and his life, and Kalinga War, and later Mauryas. We have done. Please subscribe our YouTube channel.